Well, you've been seeing the signs about it. We've been telling you about it. The day is finally here when you need a real ID to get on an airplane. We'll tell you what you need to know if you plan to travel in the coming days. Coming up.
And it's gloomy out there right now. We're going to see some scattered showers throughout the day today. Maybe a few of those isolated thunderstorms late this evening. That's coming up.
If you don't incorporate parking, you create second-class citizens.
City councilors vote on a proposal to change parking requirements in Fayetteville. Now, this could have major implications for where people live.
A live look outside in Fayetteville, 6:30 on this Wednesday. 5 News This Morning starts now.
Covering news where you live. This is 5 News This Morning.
Well, good morning. Thanks so much for waking up with us here on Channel 5 and on 5 Plus. We're off to just a bit of a gloomy day as you're heading out today. Maybe take the jacket.
Yeah, take a jacket. It's a little bit on the cooler side. It's cloudy. We're going to see some showers today as well. A spring day, yes, in that sense, but overall wish it was a little bit warmer for a May day. Here's a look at what we're tracking over the next couple of days. Cloudy, rainy for today. Again, by the time we get to this evening, we could see maybe just a few of those isolated thunderstorms. Overall, the chance for widespread severe weather, very low for today. Maybe just a few of those cells get a little bit on the stronger side by the time we get late tonight. Now, those thunderstorm chances do continue over the next couple of days. When it comes to widespread coverage, not going to be great. I think it's going to be hit or miss if we have these scattered showers, at least through our Friday. And along the way, a few strong storms could be possible. Good news is by the time we get to this weekend, for Mother's Day weekend, it's looking good right now. I think we get a little bit warmer, see a little bit more in the way of some sunshine. Northwest Arkansas, the rest of the day today, that cloud coverage going to be pretty thick throughout the morning hours. Now, there is going to be a break in the cloud coverage by the time we get to the afternoon. See a little bit in the way of some sunshine, but then by the time we get too late this evening, the chances for a few of those isolated thunderstorms would be possible. Across the river valley today, lots of cloud coverage hanging around. I think most of us struggle just to get into those low 70s for our daytime highs by the time we get to this afternoon. Here's a look at what it looks like on Futurecast. You see how much cloud coverage we're going to be dealing with. Along the way, some spotty showers will be possible. That break in the cloud coverage comes for the afternoon before additional thunderstorms would be possible by the time we get late this evening. Overall, that chance for severe weather is low, but it's not zero. Let's get a check of traffic out there this morning. Here's a live look out across I-540 crossing over the Arkansas River. Good morning to you there this morning. No accidents, no slowdowns. Heading into work here pretty soon. That commute looks great.
Beat the deadline by a lot.
If you have plans, just go and get it. Otherwise, just don't plan on traveling until you have it in hand.
Well, today is the day for the Real ID requirement, which will take effect at airports nationwide and federal buildings, also military bases. People older than 18 who plan to fly will need a Real ID. It'll have that gold or black star there in the corner. Now, to get one, you'll need to show documents, including birth certificate, proof of residency, and your Social Security card. Let's check in now with 5 News reporter Morgan Wrigley.
Yeah, she's live at XNA where travelers are dealing with that new requirement for the first time. Morgan, we have to know, have you seen anyone get turned away just yet?
Tiffany, we haven't seen anyone getting turned away just yet, but here's something that I just learned this morning that might explain that a little bit. So I checked in with Olivia Tyler here at XNA. It sounds like there is a little bit of a grace period today. Actually, she tells me that they're going to have an additional lane open to process the travelers that don't have the correct identification today. So while you may not be fully turned away, that's good news, but you probably could expect some significant delays if you don't have a Real ID. And again, that grace period, it's not going to last for long, but today is the first day, so they are offering that today. And on TSA's official website, they also say there that travelers who don't have a Real ID today can expect delays going through security, maybe some additional screening. The length of that delay just depends on how many other people are in the same boat today. But if you haven't made a switch to the Real ID yet, here's some things that you should know if you plan to travel. You still have options. A passport or other TSA approved forms of identification are still accepted. Your standard driver's license is still fine for driving and non-federal uses, but it won't work for air travel or accessing federal buildings. And even though enforcement starts today, it's not too late to get your Real ID. Also, Scott Harden with the Department of Finance and Administration says maybe check first to make sure that you don't already have one. Since a lot of people have been coming into revenue offices to get their Real ID, they didn't realize they were already good to go.
They say, I'm here to get my Real ID, and then they pull out their existing license, and you see that big gold star in the upper right-hand corner, and then you see the big smile on their face when they say, I'm good, I can board an aircraft, I can do this. And we say, you're fine. And they go back to their car and go on about their day.
And again, if you are not sure if you have one, look in the corner of your ID. If you see a gold star, that means that your ID already is an acceptable form of a real ID. Now, one of the most important takeaways today, I think, is just don't panic. Again, we know now that there is a grace period TSA is offering today here at XNA. Maybe just expect some delays. You're not going to get completely turned away from your flight. But also, if you haven't got a real ID yet, in Arkansas, you can walk out with your real ID the same day that you go to the revenue office. So if you have a flight tomorrow or even later today, you can go to the revenue office, walk out with it, and still make your flight. So lots of options there for you. Definitely not a time to panic. Back to you guys.
There are 6 kids now without their parents, Taylor and Tara, and we deserve that justice.
Well, that was the sister of Tara Underwood, who was killed in Sequoyah County last summer. Now, a county judge says triple murder suspect Stacy Drake will stand trial. The decision comes after a 2-day pretrial hearing in Sallisaw. Prosecutors called dozens of witnesses to the stand to establish that there is enough evidence for Drake to face trial. Prosecutors say he first killed Philip Emerson in Canadian County, then went to LaFerry's Propane in Sequoyah County, where he is accused of murdering Tara Underwood and Taylor Sharp. Drake's next court date is scheduled for July 7th.
And a former educator in the Fateville and Springdale school districts has been sentenced to 17 years in prison. A judge revoked Mark Osterly's probation for being present on a school campus as a level 3 offender. It comes less than a month after Osterly received a separate prison sentence in Benton County for failing to comply with sex offender registration laws. Osterly was originally convicted of sexually assaulting a student while he worked at the Springdale school district.
Well, with parking shortages and rising housing demand, some Fayetteville city leaders want to change how many parking spaces are required when new developments come in. 5 News reporter Lauren Spencer has more.
If everyone does their fair share, then one development doesn't consume all the available on-street parking. They leave some for the next developer.
Ward 2 council member Mike Wiedeker says the city doesn't have enough parking and that current reductions are straining neighborhoods.
Off-campus student housing in particular is just one example. We love the university, but when you build a development and take a 35% reduction in your parking, that may be putting 250 cars on the street that need to be accommodated.
Right now, developers can take a 35% reduction in the amount of parking they provide. But through this new ordinance, it would be a tiered approach, increasing parking requirements for residential projects.
If you don't incorporate parking, you create second-class citizens. So think about it. You have to park a quarter mile from where you live. Well, in today's rain, how's that fair and equitable for you?
Those with the group Fayetteville Strong believe the changes could drive up costs for developers and make it even harder to build in a city still facing a housing crisis.
What you end up is massive parking lots around apartment complexes that aren't being utilized, which has a negative effect of increasing the building costs, which we then see in increased rent. Also, it has a negative environmental impact, which is increase in the amount of impervious surface in the city, which leads to water runoff problems.
Ultimately, the council passed the measure 6-2, meaning the Planning Commission will now play a role in evaluating a property and parking needs. In Fayetteville, covering news where you live, Lauren Spencer, 5 News.
Well, the council decided not to take any action last night on an ordinance that would require landlords to show all renter fees and costs up front. This until June to get more input from landlords and renters.
And it is 6:38 here on this Wednesday, May 7th, taking a live look outside at the Vatican, where the conclave is underway to choose the Pope, the next leader of the Catholics. It comes less than 3 weeks after the death of Pope Francis. The 133 cardinals who will make that decision gathering at the Vatican this week. They'll be sequestered until the conclave ends in the Sistine Chapel. The so-called princes of the church will cast their ballots until they reach a 2/3 consensus. Now, outside, a temporary chimney is in place where the crowds will watch for any signals. Now, they'll see either black smoke, meaning no pope has been chosen, or white smoke, indicating a new pope has been elected. One theology teacher says with the election of a new pope, he hopes to see an emphasis on the fundamentals of the Catholic faith.
I think the big challenge for us today in the society that we're in is forming Christians. Because in previous centuries, the previous millennium, we could kind of rely on the culture to form Christians for us.
Now, ahead of the conclave, several cardinals said that they believe the field is wide open as to who the next pope will be. A vast majority of them were chosen by Pope Francis.